What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to talk to you about SoFi. I want to go over some of the current data points, what shorts did, and just everything that you need to know. But first, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So SoFi did have a pretty crappy day as well as a broader market. So it closed at 10.06% in the red after hours. It's going down slightly, another 0.42%, but all in all, you had a lot of volume. So 89.4 million shares being traded today. 52 is the average. Today you did have a low of $8.88, high of $10.22. So SoFi, this is the first time it did close single digit since October 17th, 2024. So the sentiment isn't all that great among institutions. Retail, for whatever reason, as you can kind of see, seems like they're loving this discount, because looking at the social sentiment, so that's people tweeting and so forth, it does look as though people are very positive. And even if you look on social media, it kind of matches that. A lot of people are just saying dime in hand and buying the dip and all that other fun jazz. So if you're part of that group, give yourself a shout out. I myself didn't do anything. I just have my shares that I did get a couple weeks back. I did sell a bearish option just to kind of hedge, which did expire worthless, but nonetheless, yeah, it's kind of a difficult scenario. I think a lot of people, just with SoFi over the last 1 month going down 25%, people are out of cash. So I'm sure a lot of people would be buying the dip if they had available cash, but over the last week alone, SoFi going down 15.3% is absolutely brutal. But aside from that, though, a couple of things to bring up. Fear and greed index is under the extreme fear category, and it is at 4. So this is crazy. I don't think I've even looked at it and seen it this low. And yeah, this is very, very crazy. But aside from that, I'm sure a lot of you already know kind of what really drove the market today, so I'm not going to waste your time going over tariffs and all that stuff. One thing I do want to bring up, though, is Powell, because the market was actually starting to inch up leading into his speech, because a lot of people were very optimistic that he was going to whisper sweet nothings. But he kind of did the opposite. He just said that we're going to be watching the data for the most part. So it's always like delayed. And that's the bad thing about the Feds, is that they're not really proactive. They'd rather wait for the data, which mind you is also delayed, and then they'll react. So it's kind of a flawed system. And he also did state that we're not going to jump to any conclusions and cut rates prematurely. So market didn't really like that all that much, because before the speech, it was sitting at roughly like 46, I think it was, percent likelihood of a 25 basis point cut. Now it is 29.8. So it's not necessarily fully off the table. But with that said, though, market's not really liking that. At the end of the day, though, this 29.8% does really justify what the market feels needs to be had to prevent a recession. A lot of institutions, big institutions, are just stating that there's going to be like a 60% likelihood of a recession. And it's kind of funny that they're all doing it today when this did happen yesterday. There's just so much manipulation in the markets, kind of comical. But sorry, not this one right here, but hedge funds on Thursday sold global equities on a net basis at largest one-day amount since 2010. So of course, all institutions dumped their shares yesterday. So now they're free to say, hey, you know what, let's like just panic sell. So it's kind of weird. The broader market going down like 10% in 1 week. It begs the question, is it justified? I get it. Very fearful. A lot of people just saying that the tariffs are going to result in consumers' buying power getting diminished and everything. But I don't know. It's kind of one of those weird scenarios. We just have to, I guess, wait and see exactly what Powell said. But I do find it kind of comical, all this manipulation, even coming from a short standpoint. So short sellers targeted, looks like on average, companies that have in excess of 1 billion market cap. And just this week, they did make 54.9 billion. And this was sent or posted roughly around 1 o'clock. So of course, they probably made a little bit more just today alone, but 54.9 billion. So very rough week for longs. When it comes down to shorts with SoFi, they did return 116.33 thousand shares. 13.01% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 140.15 million shares overall are being shorted. Still see some signs of manipulation, so cost to borrow minimum is negative 1.6, so meaning brokers are out there paying people to short SoFi. But if you've been in SoFi for a while, back when it was even prior single digits, like, this isn't new to you. It's all just a lot of manipulation. But 18 million in calls, 34 million in puts, 44% of all the options being done today were bearish in nature. And you can kind of see a lot of money was getting into SoFi through options. So 52.1 million in total premiums, 27.7 yesterday, 10.5 the day prior. Put/call ratio though is inching up, so not the most optimistic, unfortunately, but based on this, you do see a consensus for it to be roughly around that $10 range. That's going into next week, possibly around 11. And then the bears, it's kind of all over the place going into this upcoming week. You have pockets around $6, then you also have around $11.50. That some of that could have been just hedging, but yeah, it's all over the place. Nobody necessarily knows where SoFi is going to go, or just the broader market, but give yourself a shout out in the comments if you have been buying or whatever else. But aside from that, these are all the transactions that did occur on the secondary market above $100,000. So this is ultimately what kickstarted all of the selling. So just a lot of selling in the first roughly 20-25 minutes of the trading day. Couple pockets of buys, but then again, it just kind of, algorithmic trading was in full force today, just dragging the broader market down. These are all the transactions on the dark pools. Nothing really crazy standing out to me. One big one first thing at 1.09, but it goes to show based on this, big money is not really doing any deals. So they're not really selling, they're not really buying or anything like that. But aside from that though, quickly going over here with it closing at $9.57, trading between this S2 and this S3. So 9.96 is going to be that key point to get over early on next week if you're going to see any recovery. Then $8.41 is going to be the next strong support. But aside from that though, no new analyst ratings. Maybe we're just going to wait up until their upcoming earnings. Usually in SoFi's case though, whenever their earnings does take place, so I believe it is usually end of April if I remember correctly, but when it comes down to it, normally you always get some random ratings leading into their earnings. Doesn't logically make sense, but that might be coming sooner rather than later. But on the actual chart below the 200-day moving average, and honestly, it just signals that there is more downside coming. Based on the Elliott wave technicals, as I did bring up, it was kind of pointing for it to be between that 850 to 970 range, so kind of close within that. So Elliott wave technicals kind of hit that on the nail on the head, unfortunately. But yeah, it's just an absolute bloodbath. So if you do believe in SoFi or whatever else, take advantage, buy the dip, do what you need to do. I did buy several stocks today, like I mentioned, not really SoFi, but I've been kind of nibbling, as what they like to say. But yeah, still, you didn't really see any kind of FOMOing or whatever in the market. So still a lot of hesitation coming from institutions, and retail, like I kind of insinuated already, is tapped out. So I think just whenever big money feels comfortable, then they'll be buying the dip. Hopefully over the weekend, you have Trump just come out and say, hey, you know what, we're going to take off all the Chinese tariffs, and then China does the exact same thing. And then institutions will cause everything to go up 20%. So we can only dream, right? So with all that, don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. One final thing, if you are looking for some kick-ass buy signals, pop over to my Patreon and get buy signals on stocks, options, or crypto. Many of them are on point, so definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.